4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, customers are the backbone of any and all businesses. If we want to get more customers, we've got to seduce you all.
You've got to progress. If you want to attract bigger people in your life, then you've got to become a bigger person. You've got to become better at your skill sets. You've got to immerse yourself into personal development. You've got to find a mentor. You've got to find one or two people that have the results that you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Untold Upline Secrets / The Interviews. This one is going to be fun. I got a good friend of mine that's on here, someone that we know as a internet marketer, as a video marketer, as a network marketer, someone who has developed multiple skill sets, someone that every time he touches an opportunity, he's at the top of the leaderboard within a matter of minutes, is a master at list building, is a father, has a phenomenal wife, understands team. Him and his wife are one of the best teams in the industry. As she does her thing, he does his thing. They come together and create something magical. He's a master at systems. And when it comes down to YouTube, just another phenomenal YouTube machine. So when we talk about somebody that has mastered numerous skill sets, there's only a handful of people that you can really say that has mastered numerous different skill sets in the game of marketing, period. So it's my pleasure to bring this gentleman on. I've been knowing him for probably about, I think since maybe 2009, 2010. So I think we're going on 13, 14 years now. We've worked together in different projects and some projects that we haven't worked together in, but we've always kept that relationship very, very strong. And when something is hot that comes on his table that makes sense, he lets me know about it. And something hot that's on my table, I let him know about it. So it's definitely going to be a fun interview here to bring him on because he is always full of value. So let me bring in, representing that beautiful state of Nevada, aka via Las Vegas, my man, Mr. Stephen Rachel. Stephen Rachel, what's up, my brother? How you doing, champ?
What's up, Ced? How you doing, man? Glad to be here, brother.
Man, I'm great, man. I'm great. So good to see you, man. I think the last time we were together was maybe about a year or so ago.
Yeah, I think it was about a couple years ago now.
Yeah. It's been probably about 2 years. Yeah, it's about 2 years, and I was actually in Vegas. Mm-hmm. Been in Vegas since then, but you weren't there at that time.
Yeah,
that we linked up there. So good to see you, man. And there's a lot of people that are looking at this content here. So I guess it's only fair that I start off from the beginning, like I start off with everybody else. There's some people that are gonna know you, and there's going to be some people that don't know you. So as we get started in this interview, we got to start off by saying the simple question: who is Stephen Rachel?
Well, man, that's a loaded question.
I got a lot of those today.
I mean, I'm a husband, son, father, marketer, and entrepreneur, and just an all out just go-getter. And that's pretty much how I've always been. Even before I became an entrepreneur, even when I used to work, I seemed like I always excelled at my jobs. I was always excelling at whatever I did to make a living. And but of course, when you work, you can only make so much, obviously. And that kind of led me into entrepreneurship, where I can use those skills to make it unlimited. Sky's the limit when you're an entrepreneur. So my wife, we're big partners in life and in business, and she's a big part of what we do. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a lot of the things that she contributes to. We both have our skill sets, and we bring them together, and they work very, very well. And she's more of she's the coder. I got an in-house coder in my home.
You're lucky man.
So she has the patience. She's all home trained. She nothing formal, and but she's learned. She's a smarty pants. So she's one of those smart people, and so she's really been able to help create a lot of cool things for us on the system side and on the tech side of things. And I've been more or less the face of our brand, mostly in terms of videos and presentations and selling and talking and communicating. And so we work well together, and and it's going on now. We've been full-time marketers now since 2012, and from what we've learned from individuals like yourself. I mean, I remember when I first saw the concept of attraction marketing, and I'm seeing this guy interviewing several people. I'm like, who is this guy? Man, it's a Cedrick guy. I'm like, man, this guy knows what's going on with this internet stuff. And some following you, and then years later, us developing a relationship, it just goes to show when you follow the right people and do what they do, incredible things, incredible connections happen. So again, thanks for all the nuggets you done gave me over the years, especially even when we were brand new. It definitely made all the difference in the world.
Well, man, that goes both ways, brother, because I mean, it's like you said, some people have certain skill sets, and I've learned a lot from you at the same time. So it makes it a win-win when some people don't understand that if you constantly eat humble pie and you're constantly a student, it's amazing the things that you can absorb.
Yep.
So, I got to give you your flowers right back, bro, because you've been crushing it for a long time. But let's take this back to 2012. You said, you started the career in 2012. What was the transition from the job over to the marketing side? And I want to frame it this way, because I have a feeling that it started in network marketing. Did it start?
Yep.
It started in 2012. So in 2012, it started in network marketing. So what was your introduction to networking? Like, how did that really happen? Like, do you remember the date? Do you remember exactly how you were introduced to this game?
Yeah, it was I'll take it further than that, because I started my first network marketing, my first entrepreneur journey started with I don't know if we could say names of companies or whatever, but
yeah, if you started off with it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a company, which is I think it's still around, ACN. This is 1998. So I hate to say my age here, but but brand new in the game, didn't really know anything from anything. Always was told, hey, go get a job, work hard, which is what I did. Was looking for some different ways to make money. Things was happening in my life with family and stuff like that was starting to come into light, having kids, and I'm like, man, I got to make more money. And I used to work overtime and all that. And then a friend of mine at where I worked in Dallas, Texas at the time, and he said, hey man, you open the, looking for ways to make more money. I'm like, yeah. And I didn't know. He was telling me a little bit about this, that, and that. So it sounds interesting. I'm like, how do you make money with it? Well, meet me at this hotel Thursday night at whatever, 7:00 or whatever. I don't know. Again, I'm green. I don't know anything. I'm just like, hey, he said I can make some money. I'm like, hey, I'm all ears.
Right.
So the first time I saw the diagrams on the whiteboard, I was like, nobody told me about this. So that was my introduction. Obviously, I started and I was just a sponge. And we made, some money. We didn't make any major impactful money. And then I started with another company a couple years later. And so we always made, I don't know, $50 or $100, just enough to know that it worked,
right,
but not enough to really make an impact. Right. 100. Oh man, we made $100 this month, man. We can go out and eat.
1,200 to get in.
Yeah. Bro, you hit it right on the head. So this was the early 90s and excuse me, not early 90s, early 2000s. So because I got in 98, so transitioned to the early 2000s, just learning. But I was always I had joined another business at that time, but I was always a student. I was, if they said be at the meetings, I was always at the meeting. If they said go to the event, I was always at the event. I always tell people now, I was that person that you wanted to recruit. Now I maybe wouldn't bring in a lot of people, but I would show up. I would, have a few people here and there. And so I was really just developing those presentation skills. And so fast forward to around 2011, I got, I was trying to figure out how to make money online, how to really do this network marketing and all this on the internet effectively. We always kind of dipped and dabbed with different things here and there online, even then, but nothing really, really worked until I discovered attraction marketing. And which is where which is that platform is where I saw you for the very first time. And I was like, wow, I never really thought of it, making videos and stuff like that. Never thought of doing that, but it made me think, how did I join a lot of these other programs in the mid 2000s? Most of them were from videos I saw from other people. And so I wasn't promoting anything. I was a part of this community, and they were teaching people attraction marketing and everything. And it was June of 2012. There was an opportunity that came out that I thought would be a good fit for online marketing. I saw what was happening. People were getting conversions and people were making money, and it was a very low entry for that product. And I was like, I remember telling my wife, I said, I think I can do this. I think I've understand that all you got to do is just make content and create value and put it out there, and people will just come to you. So I did that, started making content, started giving value, and really just started homing in on making videos. Because I saw that's where the success was happening. And literally that was late June of 2012. I made my first video like the first week of July. Let me see, mid-September. I made several videos from that time. Mid-September, I was resigning from my job. And it happened all within about 90 days from me making content, building an audience, following what the leaders were doing. And then we moved to Vegas, and once I quit, my wife resigned, and we haven't worked a job since, and we've just been marketing full time ever since. That's pretty much how. But a lot of that drive happened because my mother suffered a stroke in late 2011. So, and we had to start taking care of her. But when you're taking care of her, you're taking care of your kids, you're taking care of your wife, you're taking care of your bills, you're taking care of all this stuff. And it's not enough money. And so I was always looking for ways to make more money. And that's what gave me the drive to really understand, not so much of, because before I was always looking for the best company to join. Mm-hmm. During that time, I was looking for the best strategy. And once I found the best strategy, then I could make money in anything, and it worked. But that was really what kind of helped drive, because it was a hard time. It was a kind of a dark time during that period. But those strategies, things I've learned from you and others, really pulled us out of that and got us here to Vegas, and we pretty much been self-employed ever since. So that's pretty much how it all started.
You know what though? You said something in that statement. Your why got bigger.
Yeah.
That drive, that knowing that, oh, well, mom just had a stroke. I got to take something serious because I need to make more money. I was just interviewing Melvin Crawley a little while ago, and he said his dad told him when he was young, if you can count your money, you don't have enough.
Yeah.
If you can count it, you don't have enough. And that kind of rung a bell in my head. And based upon what you just said, it made me think about the movie John Q. You remember the movie John Q? Yep.
Denzel.
Yeah, absolutely. You love Denzel, my favorite actor. He hits everything out the park. But that movie, I remember doing numerous trainings and telling people, you never know when it's going to be your John Q moment. And for those of you that maybe haven't seen that movie, I think his son needed a heart transplant is what it was. And his insurance wouldn't pay for it, and he didn't have the money. It was, I think, almost $500,000.
Yeah.
And he literally, went in and stuck the hospital up. It was like, I was gonna fix my son.
Yep.
It's a must-see movie if you haven't seen it. But it comes down to, when you think about health and how insurance is set up these days, you could have some health insurance, but if they say, hey, this heart transplant is $500,000, the insurance company might say, we got $90,000. Like, well, where's the other $410,000 coming from? That's your problem.
Yep.
You know, so you never know. So sometimes that why increases, you know. So I heard that. I heard that. Something else I heard though that I think you blew past too fast. That's something
Okay.
you said within this 90 days of us taking this serious, that's when I stepped away from my job. Now I've got to unpack that. I've got to unpack that.
Okay.
So let's unpack it here really quickly. First of all, how much money were you making at your job? This is gonna be a couple of questions. How much money were you making at your job?
Okay.
What type of job was it? And what did you do in 90 days that sped this process up so fast that you were like, okay, I've made enough that I can replace it. I'm all in now.
Yeah. Well, I was at the time. Well, I was working for T-Mobile.
Okay.
Most of my career was in a call center at T-Mobile in Dallas, Texas, which is at a tech care call center. So if something was going on with your phone, it didn't work right or whatever, you call the tech team.
Okay.
And so I was a corporate trainer with them for a long time, and for about 5.5 years. And then I transitioned after those 5.5 years into retail because I wanted to become a sales trainer. Basically, it was just more money. Where you would travel around, help the store managers, whatever, and train some of their reps and stuff. So it was going to be more money or whatever. So that was my career path. And so I stepped out of that role, went into a retail role. I didn't have the retail experience in cellular yet. So I said, you know what? Maybe I just become a manager at one of the stores. So that's what I did. And so I was probably making at that time as an assistant manager about 50 grand a month. You know, it's not a month, a year. It'd have been nice if it was a month,
right?
But it was roughly about 50 because it was pretty much a lateral move. But when I started marketing, it started slow and it wasn't instant. It wasn't like, okay, I made a video and all these sales to start a company. No, I started making content, and after about a good 4 to 5 weeks, I started getting sales from YouTube, just constantly, just calls coming in all the time. And it just really replaced what we were earning. We weren't making $10,000 a month or anything like that. All we had done when I resigned was replace what I was currently making at my job,
which was sound like a little over $4,000 a month.
Yeah, somewhere about 4 or 5, depending on the sales volume of the store for that month, because we would get bonuses and stuff like that. Okay. So we kind of fluctuated. So anywhere between 4 to 5, sometimes a little lower than that, depending on if it was a real slow month. But overall, it was still just employee money. And but when I started marketing online, things started changing around the house a little bit because I had doubled the money that we were making. So we were going out a little bit more. We were buying a few little things that we needed to do, help family out. I was able to help my mom out a lot more. And just one day, and it wasn't that's what we really wanted to do, because unlike a lot of people, I liked my job. It was the best company that I ever, even now, if I had to look at all the different places that I worked as an employee, that company was the best company I've ever worked for. But I needed more money and I didn't have the time. So and that wasn't the initial thought when we got started. It was just, I needed more money, but it just hit me one day. I was like, I remember having this conversation with my wife, Lanacia, and I was like, hey, we're making this kind of money every week. And I'm doing this part-time and I'm in management. So I'm always at the store. Right. Always. So imagine if I had all my time. Because I'm at work, phone just blowing up all day long, messages, calls. I mean, I get home working. I'm working before I go to work. Right. So I'm like, if I had all my time, I can make even more money, because I'm losing some money because some people can't get a hold of me, at whatever given time. And so we talked about it, prayed about it, and said, hey, well, let's, I think we can do it. we were here in Vegas because I had transferred here to Vegas, and I don't know, it was just something about it was just a different vibe, and I just felt like we could do it, and I wind up going into my office, and I felt like I could help my mom more. I could be more available too, and gave him my 2 weeks notice. I did it. I exited right because I don't want to burn that bridge just in case I had to go back. And I did that. And this was mid-September 2012. I remember having my exit interview, and that was it. And I said, hey, and at that point, it got real. Because I was like, we still got kids in school. We still got bills like everybody else. So it was like, okay, it's real. I can't be playing around. If I'm going to do this, we're going to have to do it because I don't have another paycheck coming.
Right.
That's it. We might want to get one more half of a check, but that's it. And so we went all in, and I said, well, we'll give it till the first of the year. This is late 2012. See how it goes. If it doesn't look like it's sustainable, I'll just, just go back to work, and we'll just continue to work until we can, get to another level. But it just kept excelling. And I think we had our first 5-figure month in March of 2013. That was our first 5-figure month. And it was all from, and at that point, it really wasn't a lot of networking that we were doing. It was mostly around affiliate. We were doing affiliate marketing, and mostly, I think that offer that we had, it had a few tiers that you made money from, but it was from that. It was from training, giving value. We had created some tools that people could use, and that was helping. So it was all that combined to help us to make our first 5-figure month. And and it's just, we've excelled even higher than that over the years here and there. But that's how it all started. It all started there. And so I always tell that story a lot. I've shared that with a lot of people. Anybody can do it. You just got to make the decision that that's what you need to do. And then sometimes for some, something, your back has to get against the wall to really help you to really move in the right direction. And even though we had done businesses and marketing for years and network marketing for years, but we never really became top leaders. We hit ranks and made some money, but nothing impactful to be like, hey, I'm quitting my job in the next month. We never made that kind of money, never made that kind of money consistently to be like, hey, that's what I'm going to do. It was always just a dream. And it all happened mainly because of the videos that I was creating on Facebook and YouTube. And it just excelled over the years, and it allowed us to meet a lot of cool people and learn even more. So that's how it all started.
Would you say at that time that 60-70% of that came from the MLSP community and things that you learned?
In the beginning, yes.
Gotcha. Yep. So 2000, that was 2012, right?
Yep. It was. I joined MLSP late 2011.
Okay.
So I was just a part of the community. I wasn't even referring people. I was just consuming content, and until summer of 2012 when I decided to put what I was learning into action.
Right.
And it worked.
The reason I bring it up, MLSP isn't around right now, but the reason for those of y'all that are wondering, but the reason that I bring it up is because that shows the power of community. That shows the power of being in proximity of the people that you want to learn from. Yep. And you just said, hey, I wasn't even referring people to the platform. I was just consuming content. And then you started to utilize the things that you were consuming.
Yep.
That's key, because so many people just consume.
Yeah.
And they never utilize what they consume. They just consume. Let me just consume and consume and consume. And let me just be a consumer. Well, consumers pay. You can either choose to be in the bleachers or you could choose to be in the game. But the people that are in the bleachers are paying for the people that are in the game.
That's right.
And that's the part that most people don't get. So I'm glad that that made a lot of sense. That clarity there, that definitely made a lot of sense. So let's take it down a little bit further. we always get to talk about these successes and listen, you know, Steven and his wife, they went through this process, and man, after a couple of months and this thing blew up, and you know, we was able to fire the boss, and you know, we both working from home, and that sounds great. But there's always that part of entrepreneurship that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
There's always a part of that entrepreneurship that is like, it's not always 10, 20, 30, $50,000 months. It doesn't work like that all the time. So you've got, you know, 12, 22, and the night you've got about 15 years in this game, you know, and in the past 15 years, I love to have these transparent moments, Steve.
Yep. Let's do it.
In the past 15 years, so it's always been like this. You've all. So let's talk about some of the low moments. Let's talk about some of the challenges that you had to endure along that way, because it wasn't always, you know, roses and cotton candy.
I would one in particular, when we first really start breaking through. So 2012, I always tell people 2012 was our breakthrough moment. That was where it all just blew up. So 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, half of 2016. So up until around that mid 2016, things started taking a turn. You know, in marketing, you know, behaviors change, market interests change, all that stuff. But we had a good run, you know, of consistently 20, 30, 40 grand a month in multiple different things, just because of what we, you know, was working on. And 2016 things start changing, and not to say that we weren't making money. We've always made money, but there's, you know, there's levels to this. Definitely levels to this. And things that start changing. And so we had to make some adjustments. You know, different opportunities come and go, different interests, different methods and strategies change, different platforms come on the scene and change things. And so you're forever, you know, innovating and shifting. And so what we had to do, we were in for a long time, we were in a, you know, this is real. We were in a 6,500 square foot home here in Las Vegas, way north of Vegas, in a nice community. We were there for a long time, and it was amazing. But that last year, it got a little tough, you know, maintaining, you know, had a 30,000 gallon pool in the backyard, this, that, and the other thing. And so we had made a decision of, hey, let's just go ahead and downsize. A lot of the kids are, you know, they, you know, were getting older, and, you know, one of them have already left, and so had all the space and everything. And I was like, well, we don't only think we really need all the space anymore. It was great when family would come visit, and we've had masterminds there and all that kind of stuff. So it was amazing, you know, but we were like, you know what, we need to downsize. And so that transition, and it wasn't I don't want to paint it like it was a bad time, because it was still a good time, because we were still making money. We just weren't making the type of money that we were before. And so we had to make some adjustments. But, you know, you were making money, but you felt like you're always broke.
Right.
Because as soon as you make whatever, a lot of it was going to the house and the bills and this, that, and the other thing, and just the lifestyle that we created. Not just for us. I was taking care of my mom's bills and all that stuff, all these different people and stuff that, so it got a little challenging. So we had to downsize just to maintain. But it was an eye-opening moment. You know, we don't want to really live above our means. And of course the kids are gone. One's in the Navy, one went off to school, and, you know, and you know, so things are gonna happen. Money's gonna go up and down. I don't know why a lot of people don't think business is business. If you look on the stock exchange, it's always ups and downs. There's going to be peaks and valleys in your journey of making money in business in general. And to not think so is naive. And so what you just have to put yourself in a position to move. And we've been through several transitions. We just went through a transition when we moved back to Texas for a little bit to help some family members out. And even for us to kind of reset, there's been a lot of changes coming out of COVID, and things are different now. It was easier. It used to be way easier to really scale. Now it's I don't want to say it's harder. It's just different, and you got to do different things. And so we went and stayed in Texas for about a year, about 11 months. And then we came back here to Vegas back in, because we left last year in April or May of last year, and came back this year in March here in Vegas. And so that time and back in Dallas was it was a good time to reflect and to kind of see really what we want to do. And so we're kind of doing some different things now, and really making moves for the future, because I don't want to give my age, but I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna be doing a launch call at 20 years from now.
Right. Exactly.
So we're making moves now that whenever we're ready to retire, we can retire and just live comfortably. And I love entrepreneurship. And again, for those that's watching, there's going to be great moments. It's going to be exciting moments, but it's going to fluctuate. And so just expect that. But if you're smart, you'll make different moves in different plays so you can maintain whatever that lifestyle may be, and some do, some don't. We were unfortunate, didn't quite do it like that, but we never lose, we learn.
Right.
Always learning.
You have, just listening to that, you have mastered the pivot. You have mastered the pivot, and here's what I mean, because it takes me into the perfect transition. Hey, I had to pivot. I'm paying the 60. I'm got this 6,500 square foot house. I've got this overhead. I've got to pivot because the money isn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
I've got family that needs my help in Texas. I've got to pivot, and I'm going to go to Texas for close to a year. Then I'm going to come back. Those are personal pivots.
Yeah.
Here are pivots where I've seen that other people have seen that you have a knack of carrying. How do I put it diplomatically? You carry a way of you're not carrying what people think is different. Mm-hmm. And here's what I mean. You don't show it on your face. You don't show it online. None of that, because you've been a part of numerous different things. You get paid from different things. Yep. And you're not, if something goes down that you're in, unbeknownst to you, no fault to you, you're going to pivot, and you're not going to wallow in the sorrow for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. Like, oh, woe is me. Oh, I don't know what happened, blah, blah, blah. Because I've seen you do it numerous times. I'm like, how is Stephen on this leaderboard? And how is he on this leaderboard? And how is he on this leaderboard? I'm like, hold on, but I just heard about this a month ago. And I see no drama. I don't see no YouTube clapbacks, no Facebook clapbacks, no none of that. You do it cool, calm, and collective. So let's talk about that, because I think that there's an art to that, bro. Like you can actually teach a training class on that. There's an art to how you do that, because you're in different places all the time. And if something happens, okay, hey y'all, this is what we're doing. And a couple of days later, you and your wife put together a system for the next play, and it is what it is. Like, how did you create that calmness? Or is it something that has just been instilled in you as a child, or what? Like, I want you to talk a little bit about that before we really get into some marketing hacks.
Yeah. I think I've always kind of been like that. I was always the growing up, I was always kind of like the quiet one of the group, if you will. So if it was a group of guys, I was always out and about and having fun. But if it was a group of us, I was probably, even in high school, I was the quiet one. Even after high school, I, some real close friends of mine that I developed after high school, in college. Out of those three, I was still the quiet one out of the three.
Right.
I don't know. I think when we see certain things, or if we're doing, a lot of times we're doing multiple things at the same time, but if we have to pivot like completely from something because of something the company did, something the industry did, something, whatever, the compensation plan change, whatever. I mean, we've seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
and if we have to pivot, I just don't have the time for the negativity. And one, I don't like the negativity. So I don't, and I totally understand the play of let me be negative and polarizing because that'll help drive more, views, more engagement, and all that stuff. I totally get it. It's really just not my thing, and I totally understand it. I don't, clap back on anybody that does that. I'm like, that's what they do. I'll share my thoughts. At times I've shared my thoughts about my opinion on something, but I always like to do it respectfully. And I don't know, it's just me, and even if someone doesn't do that, not to say that that's the right way or wrong way, it's just how I do it. But, and so if we have to, and another thing, if we have to pivot, I got people I got to take care of. I got to get back to work.
Right.
I got, because, I always tell people, I say, it's not that we do or have to pivot on purpose. Things happen, things change. And sometimes I see things earlier on, I know it's been numerous times where we kind of like, well, we're just going to have to put this on the shelf. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work, long term. So we'll silently just kind of shift focus. We might not quit or, or whatever, but we're not going to focus on this. And see, well, how come you guys, man, this is, I'm telling you this. And then months later, then they're doing the same thing. It's like, I don't know, maybe we see things, or we kind of see things that's about to happen. And I'm like, well, I already know how that's going to work. Now, a month from now, 2 months from now, you know what? Let me just cut my losses now and let's just go ahead and move on, to the next project or whatever, and kind of go from there. Hey guys, much success. Keep doing it. Keep rocking. Keep crushing it. But we're gonna focus on this, and that's just pretty much how. And I don't intentionally do that. I just, hey, we're not gonna do this anymore. I need to move on to this project now, and we just move on and we just start creating content around that. I don't, I'm not gonna make a video, about, this, that, or the other thing. I mean, because it might come back and bite me. Because I might be like, you know what? Because, and then too, usually if that happens, I still have friends over there.
Yes.
I still have people that I'm cool with, and I don't want to be out here talking negatively about some program, right or wrong. I still got people that I respect over there, and I don't want to have that feeling of, hey, I saw you talking about my bit, bro. I'm still over here. I don't. So I never. I just, if I have my own and I've had times where I've had my own personal feelings, like, bro, y'all don't need to be doing that, or this is what I learned, and this is why we're leaving, and I don't want to associate myself over there anymore. And if they're still over there, I mean, this is what I'm thinking in my mind, but I'm not going to say that publicly. And we all have our little one-on-one conversations offline, but publicly, no, we've never done anything. It's just not my style.
That's classy, man, because you have, YouTube and video marketing. And if anybody can get away with doing it, it's you. It's you. If you want to get some traffic to a video, let me show you traffic. So that's classy, man, because you're right. This game is about relationships, and sometimes we do have to pivot. It's sometimes we have that Kenny Rogers nose. We know when to hold them.
Yeah.
We know when to fold them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things in life that is like, I know how this movie is going to end.
Yep.
Somebody's going to die, and I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So, I've seen this movie before,
yep.
and it has happened way too many times. And I think that the longer that you're in the industry, and that's why I think that it's so important for people to create relationships with people outside of their specific company, because sometimes you can be in one company and be in a bubble. Not
Yeah.
saying that you got to be in all these different companies, but you can have relationships with people that you could be talking about different things and sharing different tips and tactics. And at the
Right.
end of the day, there's things that you will learn that you wouldn't learn if you were
Right.
in that bubble. You know, I had a friend of ours on earlier today, James Penn, and he
Yep.
was dropping some nuggets, you know, and James started just like a lot of it. James started with Amway, and people that are in Amway, that's a bubble.
Yep.
Like you're inside of this bubble, and majority of the people that are in Amway, they don't know what's going on outside of Amway.
That's right.
Because that's how they create the bubble, you know, and that could be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. That's not knocking Amway.
Right.
It's just us understanding that, hey, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's artificial intelligence, there's online marketing, there's offline marketing, there's, you know, all these different ways to be able to get the word out. There's
Right.
this company, there's that company, there's this product, is that product. Like when you start to learn some of these things, you start to think differently.
Right.
You know, and you and your wife have been really, really, really good at that. So I definitely applaud you for that.
Appreciate
Let's go down this marketing road here, bro.
it.
You know, I'm here. I want to give people nuggets and give people value. And if there's one thing that you have absolutely crushed is systems and video marketing. So let's spend a little time on some video marketing. What are a few tips and techniques that you could give some of the people that are listening here today that they could apply when it comes down to video marketing, whether it be with Facebook or whether it be somewhere that you spend a lot of time at, you know, on YouTube? You know, these people are looking for the goods. They're looking for those.
Right.
What are those goodies? What is something that I can go out and I can apply and I can say, yeah, I see some results because Steven said do this because this is how he's crushing it.
Yep. That's a good question. And I'll keep it simple but impactful. When you first, if you're in a business, so whoever's watching, if you're in a business or if you're thinking about joining a business, one thing that I normally do, if I just hit, you know, purchase today on an opportunity, some network marketing opportunity, product, service, whatever. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to YouTube. I just want to see the conversations that people are having about the company, the product, the compensation. I'm just trying to get the vibe. I get the vibe from the person who I enrolled with or whatever, but I want to see collectively what the vibe is. And then I'm going to go to Facebook and I'm going to go into the search field. I'm going to type in the name of the company and it's going to give me posts, videos, images, anything that anybody's posted on Facebook about that product, service, or whatever. And again, I'm just really just getting a sense of what people are talking about and really who are the players in this company. And so I just kind of gather that information and it gives me ideas of content that I can make. And then what I'm going to do first is how can I position myself or differentiate myself from everybody else? So there's obviously a lot of people already here. If it's a new opportunity, it might not be a lot of people online just yet, but there's some players there. You just haven't seen them yet. So you can still apply these same methods. And typically what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a video. And that video, and if the company has a presentation, so I'm going to keep it simple. If the company has a presentation, you know, some type of, and typically most of them nowadays will, in most cases, they're going to have some kind of tool. And if they don't, there's usually a Zoom that's on YouTube or whatever. I'm going to download that content. Okay. And if I download that content, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to do an introduction about that content. And what I mean is, to clarify, I'm just going to make a short video. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, guys, you're not going to believe I just came across an exciting program that does A, B, C, and D. I'm super excited about it. As a matter of fact, I've got a short 5-minute video that you need to watch. It's going to break down everything. Watch this video. I just can't sleep. You're going to be blown away by the product. You're going to be blown away by the compensation plan, and the timing is perfect. Watch this video. I'm going to come back at the end, and I'm going to give you a few additional instructions. and then I'm gonna cut that video. Then I'm gonna take that video. I'm gonna go into you can use a program called CapCut, which is an editing program, and it's free, and it's a very robust editing platform. But you ain't got to worry about all that stuff. All you need to do is take that video that you just shot with your phone or your webcam or your whatever, and put that video in front of that introduction video or that presentation, and then follow it up at the end with something like, hey, wasn't that amazing? I mean, I told you guys you were going to love this information. What you need to do to get more information, click on the link right below or the button right below. It's going to take you to the website. Give them instructions. Click on that button right below. It's going to take you to the website. Watch the information on that, and then you can go ahead and get started. I recommend getting started at whatever the level that you got started at, or whatever the one that everybody needs to get started at, and then just go from there. And that's typically, I'm going to create that package. Why am I doing all that instead of just sending out the company affiliate link or whatever they give us? Because I know everybody else is doing that.
Right.
Everybody else is doing that. And I can't send that because it's everybody else is sending the same duplicate information. I have to differentiate myself and my business from all these other people. A lot of people worry about other companies. No, your biggest competition are the people that are in the business with you, especially initially. Not in a negative way, because you're going to need them for support, but in terms of just your introduction, you need to differentiate yourself from them. And one of the best ways to do that is through videos. Now, that's just one way of doing it. There's a lot of different ways on how you can do that. But if I'm not going to make a presentation or anything, that's typically what I'll do, because it saves time for me having to make a presentation or whatever. And for those that have no problem with presenting and creating presentations and all that stuff, well, you can make your own version and then just do a Zoom or do another video on YouTube, and then just share your content, introduce people to the opportunity. To sum it up, introduce people to your business from your perspective. That's always going to be better than the company's perspective. From, it's just always better. You can lean on your leaders. You can lean on the testimonials. You can lean on the other stories. Those are amazing. Talk about them, but you talk about them. Hey guys, you got to see this testimonial that Cedrick Harris just popped up. It's man, let me tell you, the best 3 minutes I've ever seen. Watch this. Just go to this link. I'm going to send it to you. Just that. Even though you're not giving the testimonial, but your introduction to the testimonial always makes a difference. So I've always trained over the years and I've said this a gazillion times, you're not going to see my company presentation. You're not going to see my comp plan. You're not going to see my business. You're not going to see the company website until you see me first. You got to see me first. Now, that could be in a video. That can be, for those, well, I don't want to be in a video. Well, that could be, you can tell your story in text and then posting a picture and make that introduction. There's so many different ways. And I think a lot of times we kind of lose focus on, I just want to share it.
Right.
But I know that it's all about, this, you said it earlier, it's a relationship industry. And we gotta relate to people in the industry. And the way that you relate to people in the industry is you got to let them know who you are. And I get it. We're at that age where a lot of times you don't even have to make content now. It's all about faceless content and everything. And there's things that you can do, but that takes skill. But even when it comes to videos and editing and all that, even if you took that out of the equation, I always just tell people, hey, pick up your phone and just share your story, or pick up your phone or share other people's stories with videos. And I've always been a big advocate, and I know things are evolving and things are changing. There's other ways that you can do things, and you can get a little technical, but just keep it simple. What got us off our job and what has kept us off of our job is video content. And the people that I've ever seen, that have really crushed it in the industry, like yourself, I first saw you on video.
Right.
I didn't know you before, and then I mean, and then years later, I meet you at a conference, no excuses,
Mhm.
and I knew you, right? And it was all because of the video content that I saw from you, and it always made an impact, and I understand some that are watching right now of where you're good at that. You're really good at that. I agree. I am now. But in the beginning, I wasn't. The only reason I got good at it was because of what happened to my mother. That was the only reason, because I did not want to make content. I just wanted, because I'm sure everybody feels like this. I got a link. I want to share the link and I want you to go buy. That's all I wanted to do. Here's my link. Here's the product. Here's how, go to the link. It explains everything. Just buy it. But for years of doing that, sales are few and far between. It just didn't work. And so when my back was against the wall, I said, okay, I'm involved with MLSP, and that's all they're talking about: attraction marketing, create videos and pictures to bring people to you. I'm like, well, I don't have a choice now, because I'm like, things are kind of tight around here. I got to do something, that, and I'm seeing all these examples over and over and over again. So, videos work. So to sum it up, find a way to tell your story. There's all kinds of ways to do it now. Find a way to tell your authentic story about whatever it is that you're wanting to promote. And you'll find you'll get way better results from that. Hopefully that was helpful.
Oh, absolutely. You triggered a couple of stories, when you were talking. First of all, you just gave people a cheat code. You gave them a cheat code, and if I were to take that cheat code and sum it up very fast, think about 3 or 4 things that you're uncomfortable with in marketing. If everybody just sits there and think about 3 or 4 things that you're uncomfortable with. For some people, we've been talking about video marketing. I hate video. I hate the camera, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
great.
right.
Do that.
Yep.
Find 3 or 4 things that you're uncomfortable with, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Where the money is outside of the comfort zone.
Right.
I know a couple of very sharp women that do well in the industry, man. They do well in the industry. But I look at them and I'm like, you would make so much more money if you did video. I remember talking to one of them a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, I just don't like doing that stuff, Sid. I just don't like doing. I'm like, doesn't matter what you don't like doing.
Right.
I mean, you do things that you don't like doing for a certain period of time.
Right.
But then you ain't got to worry about doing anything at all.
Right.
It's like what's the trade-off? When we talk about video marketing, you probably remember this. I rented a house. I owned this home in Tampa, in Carrollwood area in Tampa, that I bought in 2004. No, 2005. I bought this home in 2005. And I believe it was 2010. Larry Beecham came into town. And I rented that home to Larry. Before I rented that home to Larry, I went out looking at other homes, and I fell in love with this one house. I just fell in love with it, and the guy never wanted to. His number didn't make sense. Long story short, I ended up renting the house. It was the very first house I ever rented in my life. But I rented this house. Based on video, Stephen, not based on what I saw on video. And when I tell you this story, then it's going to hit you. You're going to be like, I rented this house based on, I walked down this long pier and I looked back at the house and it was all glass.
Okay.
I was in Numis Network at the time, and I said, I could bring a table, sit it right here at the end of this pier, have my little camera sitting right there. Hey, everybody, it's Cedrick Harris coming to you live from Tampa, Florida. We're going to talk about these gold and silver coins. And people in the background are seeing they're seeing me holding up these gold and silver coins, but on the same token, they see this big, gigantic house, all glass,
yep,
on a 60-acre lake. And it was like, it was the appearance of success.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't own the home, I rented the house. I mean, but it wasn't cheap rent. I mean, I was paying $4,000 a month of rent for 3 years. So that wasn't like cheap rent.
Right, right.
So it wasn't like I just walked in. It was a 3-year commitment, $4,000 a month. So I had to be making money at the time to even be doing it. But the point of that is that I rented that home, not thinking like a rapper, because a rapper rents a car for a video and then they give it back. I rented that home based upon I can create some serious content with this house. I like the content alone. And every video, I think, majority of them anyway, 2010, 2011, 2012, especially with Numerous Network back then, all those videos were done at the end of that doggone driveway. No Excuses Summit videos, Jeffrey Combs videos, all of them were done at the end of that freaking pier because of that video. And because of that appearance of that content. And I think some people don't understand how powerful relaying a message on video is. The other thing I want to attach to of something that you said when you talked about testimonials. And here's the other story that it kicked in for me. You know, a couple of years ago, we were in a business together that's no longer in business. No fault of our own. They screwed it up and killed it.
Yeah.
But some of the best marketers got together. We had a dream team, man. It was a beautiful thing. But I remember that presentation, and I remember I reached out to all of you key leaders and I said, cut a quick 45-second testimony video that we can stick inside of the funnel. Mm-hmm. As we did that presentation all over, and so many people shared that presentation, there was about eight or nine different people from all different walks of life, all different shapes and sizes, all different backgrounds, that somebody could see a Steven that they can relate to. They could see a Michael Mansell that they can relate to. They could see maybe a Melvin Crawley or a Kawan Mayo or me or whoever. Was somebody in that video. And strategically, white, black, red, yellow, man, woman. But because of the video, people could feel it.
Yep.
If it was just a picture and a testimony, it wouldn't have the same impact.
Right. That's right.
But that 45-second to 1-minute video throughout that presentation was key. Can you tell people why testimonials, when they're launching their business, or even if they're just now launching their business, because some people are going to say, well, I'm just now launching my business, Cedrick and Steven, and I don't have any testimonials yet. Well, if the company just didn't start yesterday, there's probably some testimonials from people that are in the company that you can use inside of your presentation. Can you tell a little bit to the people why that is so important when they're presenting, especially when it comes down to video marketing with their companies and affiliate offers or whatever?
Yeah, it's key. I mean, if you can definitely leverage other testimonials from your introduction. And even for those that are like, hey, I just started and the company's just started and this is day one, well, create a testimonial on what made you join the business and where you see yourself over the next 90 days. You know, talk about, give a number. Hey, I plan on making $30,000 over the next 90 days or 10,000 or 5 or whatever the figure, because you can give a realistic number. Don't say, well, I'm gonna make $1 billion and give a realistic number that is attainable and that you feel that you can attain over a 90-day period or a 30-day period or whatever. But just become a master at telling stories. And and I just, because I'm going back and it's making me think years prior, before we even got started with all this, I remember when I joined, and I remember this program that I was a part of that we really kind of broke through with. And I remember seeing a guy making videos, but he was making about $3,000 to $4,000 a week, you know, part-time. And I was like, how is he doing it? And then one day I said, how is he? Because he just uploaded another video. Hey, I got my check and I just made $4,000. He's showing his check or whatever. I'm like, how is he doing that? And I said, you know what? Let me look. And so I went to YouTube, typed in the name of the company, and I saw him right there, the second one from the top. He was there again, kept scrolling, there again. I went through like 4 or 5 pages, and he pretty much had most of that attention on all 5 pages. Okay. Now I know with YouTube now you just keep scrolling. But back then, if you can remember, it was page 1, page 2, page
Right.
2. And it just hit me. That's where it hit me, right? That moment right there, I was like, that's it. That's all you got to do is make video content. That's what they've been saying in MLSP. That's all he's doing because he was not polished. But he was just telling stories. They weren't good videos, but they were relevant videos and they were authentic videos.
Yes.
And people just related to it. Like, hey, this guy's not even really trying to sell me. He's just telling his story. And it made me think that was the main reason why I joined him too, because I didn't know him. I just saw him. He was all over YouTube about it. And I was like, let me join that bit. I think I'll join under him. He seemed like he at least knows what's going on. And testimonials, it was his testimonials that he was given. So that made us want to even join that business. And so testimonials make all the difference in the world. And even when you're making that initial video, kind of like what I was talking, even if you don't even do the editing and all that stuff, what I call those videos sandwich videos, because you like take a video of you, put the content there, and then you come back at the end. But even if you don't do so, just scratch that. If you're like, well, I'm not techie, I don't want, don't worry about it. This little thing right here would make you $1 million if you let it. If you let it, because all you got to do, boop. If you don't want to edit, just go live and just share your story. You don't even have to edit. You don't have to do it. We didn't say, can you imagine if we had live videos in 2011, 2012?
Oh, bro. We just cut the video and uploaded that thing. We won't do no Facebook lives, YouTube lives, none of that. I mean, hell, remember Periscope? Yeah, I remember a couple of years like Periscope. Periscope was the play for a while.
Yeah, it was
video TikTok. You know, it was TikTok before it was TikTok without all the extra goodies. You know, and it was just random.
Yep,
just cutting videos, man, and people run from this stuff. And when I was talking to Melvin about it earlier today, it made me think about Myron Golden. And I said, you know, what are we sitting in November right now? I think Myron has made over 30 million this year so far. It's November. The year isn't over. So let's say Myron's made over $30 million this year, and Myron says November, what's the date? The 9th, the 10th? November the 10th. November the 10th is going to show up next year, November 10th, 2024, like it or not.
Right.
If nothing crazy happens, November the 10th, 2024 is going to be here. You know, unless, you know, Jesus decides to come because he's getting real close. Based on what we're seeing right now, things are changing. It's getting real. But let's say that Jesus doesn't show up before then. November the 10th, 2024, barring you still have good health, it's going to come,
right?
Regardless of whether you like it or not, right? So if that's to be true, he said, why not have 100 videos?
Why not?
Why not have 150 videos? It's going to come anyway, because he's crushing YouTube. He's probably making, I think, he did a training on it. That was 7-8 months ago. He was making like 60 grand a month off of YouTube, just off of ads.
Yeah,
that's 60 grand a month. Then that's like play money for him. That's like, okay, 60 grand a month. The average person be like, man, that changed my life. Actually, the above average person, because 60 grand a month is a lot of money.
Yep.
But in the context of things, when you make 30 million a year, you know, 60 grand a month is you know, $720,000 a year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's less than $1 million of that 30. Right. You know, but the whole point of it is how he uses YouTube as a splinter to go to so many different places, and it's all video. And he'd be the first one to tell you, I wasn't that great on video before either. I wasn't that great. You know, I got friends that you know, whether it's a green screen, whether you're I think TikTok has made it more comfortable for people.
Yep.
Because
I agree.
The rawer your content, the better.
The better.
It's like people in their bed just cutting the video. Let me tell y'all about my day today. Like those are the ones that got all the views. You know what I mean? It's like the fancier you get. I was talking to a TikTok creator that's a TikTok coach, and I'm testing I'm testing different things. I got a new editor. He's got the soft. I'm testing different things. So I cut a video and I sent it to him, and he does his thing, and I'm testing different things. So I'm on with Ryan last week, and he says, I see you doing your thing, saying I love these videos. He was like, do me a favor though. And I said, what? He said, dumb them down. I said, dumb him down. I said, this is my dude. Like, he crushed it. I'm loving this. He was like, yeah, but make it less editing. He was like, because especially the people on TikTok, they like it raw. Like that's gonna that'll hit better on YouTube.
Yep.
That's a whole different crowd. That'll hit better on Facebook. That's a whole different crowd. But over here on TikTok, over here in this club over here, like one club you go to dressed up.
Yeah.
One club you go to with your hat cocked backwards.
Right.
Like, this is the club that your hat's cocked backwards. This is the club that is like, don't edit too much. Like they just want to be super raw. And the more you understand that, the better. So I think it eliminates all excuses for people that say, well, I don't have a fancy car. Who cares? I don't have a big house. Who cares?
Right.
You know, I don't have this great background. Who cares?
That's right.
Like, do it in your Chevette.
Right.
Do the video in your bathroom. How many people got videos in their bathroom? You know, do it with a blank wall behind you where there's nothing, where everybody can just focus 100% on you.
Yep.
You know, what's the excuse? There isn't any. And then as you make more money, as you get older, as you create more impact, then you can invest in some tools. You can invest in some great backgrounds. You can, you know, maybe have a better office and a better background and blah, blah, blah. But people get to see that evolution, man.
Yep.
And when they see that evolution, it inspires them. So it's good stuff. So I'm going to ask you this last question here, brother, before we part ways here tonight. First of all, thank you for all the value that you've been giving. You've really been dropping some gems on the people, and you rock, bro. You really rock. You know, I've asked everybody here, you know, if you can go back, for you, it's been 15, 16 years. So if you can go back 15, 16 years, whether it be 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, and you can think about something, keep it in mind. The name of the book is called Untold Upline Secrets.
Okay.
So if you could think about a secret or something that your upline told you, your sideline told you, a business partner told you, something that somebody told you that you didn't listen to, that you wish you would have listened to, or somebody told you something and it was on that, sounds good, but I'm gonna do it my way. And your way didn't turn into the 6 or 7 figures, and you saw them blow something up. If you could change something from the past 5, 10, 15 years of your evolution of what you've learned, or some sort of tip or trick that you didn't apply, what would it be, bro?
There's one in particular, and we're making adjustments and getting in the position to do it, but the main thing is when you're speaking about Myron and other YouTubers, I would say back in 2016, I went to an event called Vid Summit. It's basically an event. This isn't a plug, but it's just an event where people go to learn how to be an effective YouTuber. And so one thing that we kind of learned, and even I have a YouTube channel, but it has a lot of there's a lot of lanes in it. It's a lot talking about different programs, opportunities, so on and so forth. So for me, in terms of one thing that I would change is I would want to create a channel that's just specific on a particular one topic, and then just build out that one topic, and that audience and attention that you would get from that would give you the platform to share other things. Versus having a channel where I'm talking about this and I'm talking about that, and I'm talking about this and I'm talking about that. So one thing that I would probably do is do that. I mean, there's actually a few other ones, but and the reason why I say that, because I've seen other people in our niche, if you will, especially in network marketing, people that have created other channels that are very niched, and they just made only content around that niche only. and they've blown up their channel, they've blown up their reach, and I have not done that piece yet. But I would definitely we're working on some stuff, but I would say is when it comes to that, I guess that's one thing that I would change is to create something that would complement what we know how to do on the platform called YouTube in regards to videos and stuff like that. And then too, I would, outside of that piece, because that's more influencer driven, I guess, if you will, but it can still bleed into MLM because it's all about building audiences. Is let me think. I would say some things that I've learned from others. Now I know things have changed because of COVID, so we're kind of like in a different era now. It's like you got pre-COVID and then post-COVID. I've kind of learned that too in network marketing, especially for the new people. What you have to do if you're with a company and you're excited about this business, one, of course, tell your stories. One thing I've learned from others that have become tremendously successful is that they've been with a platform and they just stay with it. They've just stayed with it. But I've seen them do certain activities. I don't mean just stay with the company just to say I stayed with the company.
Right.
Stay with a company and grow. Everybody's going to get there. I think what happens for a lot of people is they're new, they're learning, they're with the program, they're not getting the result that they want, so they move to the next deal. They do the exact same thing, they're not getting the result, and they keep moving. So they never really have time to really grow and blossom because they're constantly resetting every 30 days, every 60 days. Even with us, we can do some of that. We can do that because we've learned a set of skills over the years where we can reset and keep moving where we don't even miss a beat because we know exactly what to do to get the result. What's frustrating with me is I see people that will do that, and even myself, there's times that we could have stayed with different things, but it's neither here nor now. But I would say for a lot of new people that are still learning, focus on you first, because a lot of that's going to come from what you do. Your breakthroughs are going to come from your actions. It's not going to be from the company that you represent. It's going to come from the actions that you take, because once you get the right skills, you can make money in anything.
Transferable.
It's like a Visa card. It's like an Amex.
Yep.
You swipe that, you can swipe it in anything. So once you get the skills, but without the skill set, but you need to be in that environment so you can develop and find out what works, how things. And that was with us. Even when we first started applying those skills, we were with that business for a long time, for at least a couple years. But that business allowed us to really understand marketing at a higher level, because we were able to try new things, and we had some breakthroughs, and we were able to experiment. And hey, this worked. Oh well, let's don't do that again because that didn't work. Let's do this. We were able to learn some things, because of that. But unfortunately, a lot of people, if they're with the business and maybe it's great products, great compensation, great culture, and they're in and they're just not getting the results that they want to after a month, 2 months, 3 months or whatever, and then they just move on. And then the cycle starts all over again. One of my mentors used to say, no matter where you go, there you are.
Bingo.
If you never learn anything, it's never gonna be what the company, because you can make money in anything. You literally can in any business. If there's a compensation plan and there's a product, if you have the right skill set, you can make money in it. Like you, myself, and I tell people this not to brag or boast or anything, but I say we can make money in anything. It's just a matter of is that something that we can get excited about and share with others and give value to others? That's really what it's all about. But the reason why we can say that is because of what we've learned what to do and being consistent with it. And to really kick that off, if you really want to, there's a lot of ways on how you can become successful in whatever it is that you're doing. If you really want to shorten that time frame, I'll sum it up in 2 words: make videos.
My man. you 2 words, yes. And I would add to it on this. You know, this has been a marketing conversation for the most part. And there's different marketers that I'm interviewing, as well as high level network marketers. But I think that you would agree with this. I feel like the key word in network marketing has always been marketing. Mm-hmm. Because once you get the marketing down, it's like you said, you can make money in anything. That's a skill set that didn't come from the company. Once you learned it, once you learn how to market, now it's like you turn into Neo from the Matrix. You remember when they started shooting at Neo, and all of a sudden he realized that he was the one. He just put his hand up and the bullets just fell. It's like, I'm good. I'm good. Like, if something happens, I've learned marketing. I've learned a skill set. If I need to go sell acid covered chocolate blow pops, I can do that now because I have created a skill set that nobody can take from me. So
that's right.
Steven, I appreciate you dropping those bars, brother. Tell your wife I said hello. Man, you spent a little over an hour plus here with us, giving us so many great nuggets and so much content, man. I appreciate all the things that I've learned from you over the years and all the value that you've given so many people over the years, man. And keep crushing it out there, bro. Keep crushing it out there. Keep impacting, man. And thanks again, man. Sometimes we got to give our brothers and our sisters their flowers while they're here. So I'm giving you your flowers, brother. I appreciate you, man, and keep doing what you're doing, man. And thanks for all the valuable content tonight. I
appreciate you, Cedrick, man. Thanks for having me, man. And I've learned a lot, still learning from you. And just great to be here in your presence and able to share. So thanks again.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great night, man. We'll chat soon. All right, brother.